The movie opens with 18-year-old Elliott spending her birthday out on a motorboat with her two best friends, Ruthie and Roy. Back home, her family, parents Kathy and Tom, along with her brothers Max and Spencer, are waiting to celebrate with cake. However, she chooses to go camping with her friends after hanging out with Chelsea, a barista from the area. The friends get some drugs from Roy's cousin and brew them into tea for easier consumption. Soon, they start feeling the effects and begin dancing, with her friends eventually wandering off together. She finds herself sitting next to an older woman who introduces herself as Elliott at 39. She refuses to believe her and thinks that she is just a result of her hallucinating. To prove it, the woman points out a childhood scar on her abdomen and mentions some personal details only she would know about. Though shocked, she recognizes she is still deeply under the influence, even as she tries to process this unreal encounter. Young Elliott, curious about what lies ahead, asks her older self about her future and is annoyed to learn she's nearly 40 and still just a medical student. As they talk, older Elliott urges her to spend more time with her brothers and appreciate her parents while she can, and to not take them for granted. She also warns her not to get involved with someone named Chad. Eventually, the two fall asleep together side by side. The next morning, Elliott arrives home with Ruthie and Roy. She's a little distant toward her mom, Kathy, until she realizes she missed the birthday cake. Later, she goes skinny dipping and spots a strange boy swimming nearby. He's friendly and jokes with her until he reveals his name is Chad. Frightened, she swims away. She then checks her phone and finds her older self's number saved as "my old ass." After texting her about meeting him, she receives a reply warning her to stay away from him. Elliott calls the number and hears her older self's voice, but it's vague and cryptic about why she shouldn't talk to Chad. Later, she goes swimming again and runs into him, who also works on the land for the summer. He manages to make her laugh, and she's clearly charmed, but her unease takes over and she leaves abruptly. When she contacts her older self again, the voice sounds unexpectedly sad before hanging up without offering more advice about him. As days pass, she starts spending more time with her brothers, bonding with Max over golf and watching Saoirse Ronan movies with Spencer. One morning, she's surprised to find Chad eating breakfast with her family after they learn he works on the farm. The meal is awkward, and Elliott tries to escape by going golfing with Max, but he invites him to join them as well. While on the course, he casually reveals that their parents are selling the farm. She is upset, even though she had no intention of inheriting it, as it holds deep emotional significance. She confronts her dad, but he's surprised by her reaction, assuming that as she always wanted to leave, she wouldn't care what happens to it. Later, she talks to Chad on his boat, and he offers comforting words that help her feel better. As they pass under a bridge, she has them duck to avoid crashing. However, soon Elliott panics and quickly leaves. She constantly attempts to contact her older self but receives no replies. Frustrated, she goes back to Roy and asks for the rest of the shrooms, hoping she might be able to conjure her older version again. Her friend agrees to join her in the woods as Elliott decides to trip alone. During the experience, she hallucinates that Chad appears, and in a bizarre fantasy, she imagines herself as Justin Bieber performing One Less Lonely Girl, giving him a flower in a dramatic, funny concert-style gesture. After coming back, she spends some quiet time with her mom outside overlooking the lake. Kathy shares a nostalgic memory of when she was a child, cradling her to sleep. In a moment of tenderness, she sits on her mom's lap, feeling comforted by the closeness as they talk about life. The next day, Elliott confides in Roy, admitting that she is developing feelings for Chad. She then brings her friends to meet him as he attempts to sell his motorboat. After her friends leave, she joins him on the lake. While they're out there, the boat's motor falls off, and they laugh it off as they make their way back to shore. At the docks, Elliott confesses to Chad that she has feelings for him, despite being told to stay away from someone she knows. He brings her back home, and as they emerge from the trees, older Elliott appears. She explains that she had to take a large number of drugs to manifest physically before her younger self. Elliott opens up, telling her that she and Chad have been intimate, and that she's fallen in love with him. Hesitantly, older Elliott reveals the heartbreaking truth. The reason she tried to keep her younger self away from Chad is that he dies in the future, and the pain and grief she faces afterward are unbearable. She also warns her that no matter how much she tries, she won't be able to save him. Despite the truth, Elliott decides she will love Chad regardless of the future. When he returns, he sees older Elliott. Sensing her sadness, Chad gives her a warm hug. For the first time in what feels like forever, she holds him. She cries, savoring the moment before quietly walking away. He is surprised by this and thinks that she might just be sad for some other unrelated reason. The couple solidify their bond and commitment to each other and decide to date. The film ends with Elliott taking one last ride on the lake, reflecting on everything she's experienced before finally being ready to face whatever comes next.